This program is brought to you in partnership with UNDP in Botswana. Mining has been identified as one of the priority sectors in the UNDP Supplier Development Programme. The sector is a very important contributor to the economy of Botswana, hence the need to effect capacity building for effective and competitive business practices amongst suppliers and buyers in this sector. As in other sectors, this is done by undertaking the small to medium enterprises, also known as suppliers, through a rigorous training process that brings them closer to the buyer and access from the UNDP appointed consultants guiding hands. What can be said about diamond mining in Botswana that hasn't been said already? Its legacy extends as far back as the nation's recorded history, and it has played a major factor in the socio-economic privileges that we enjoy today. Hello and welcome to this week's episode, focusing yet again on the UNDP Supplier Development Programme. And this week we've traveled to Lucara, Botswana's Lucara Diamond Mine. Located in Letlhakane, Lucara Diamond Mine is owned by Lucara Diamond Corporation. The mine has been in operation since 2012 and boasts of a varied number of suppliers for goods and services they need in their daily operations.
Lucara takes a deliberate action to engage with small and medium enterprises. In that, when we send out our tenders, we actually take into account that there are jobs that are actually meant for small and medium enterprises. And as such, we'll actually ensure that we create a platform that enables those suppliers to also participate in tendering, for the jobs. Challenges that were there really, it was to, the proposal that the supplier, the small and medium enterprises, the proposals that they will submit, you would find that they will be lacking quite lots of detail to understand exactly what this supplier is delivering or the capabilities that are there. Some of the information will be missing, will end up actually, finding yourself having a problem as to whether to engage this supplier or not, because there will be lots of information missing. And even the financials, it will be just maybe a bulk figure which doesn't talk to what makes up this figure. And with the engagement of UNDP, we found that now suppliers tend to get trained as to what to do. We also actually would sit down with suppliers and talk to them in terms of how they should present their proposals to us. The greatest value really that we'll get from there is that suppliers would understand what it means to deliver quality services, because in the process there are tools that are used to assess how the supplier would deliver the services. When given a job, we will actually assess as to how the job is delivered, and also in line with the quality that is required by the buyer, being Lucara.
The biggest challenge with many suppliers is the failure to meet the precise specifications from the buyer. This leads to frustration on both ends and big likelihood of loss of contracts and unfulfilled business goals. Walking through Lucara Diamond Mine now, I must admit that the infrastructure is quite physically imposing. And when interpreting that in a figurative sense, it's quite understandable why small enterprises may feel a bit unsettled when dealing with large buyers. And that is why preparedness for the task is an essential component of the Undp Sdp. For the suppliers, the Undp Sdp is well placed for them to harness the business opportunities in the mine. For a company that specializes in engineering services, the opportunity to engage a large buyer such as Lucara is colossal in its value. Ledger Hill Group can attest to that and the position that was played by the SDP in making that connection.
Ledger Hill Group, it started 2017, August. And then our first operations rolled on 2017 towards the end of the year, which was November. Yeah, I'm a mine engineer by profession. So when I started this company, I worked on the mines before. I worked at Mopani, Lucara, and some mines around Botswana as well. Yeah, and then I had that passion of forming this company as Ledger Hill Group, as plant rental, civil construction, and plant maintenance. We have mining machines that are up for rental to the mines, and then we have operators who are using those machines. The program, it was not easy for us to meet the buyers, and the program assisted us a lot, because most of the buyers, they didn't know us in details. They just saw us maybe facially, and they didn't know exactly what the company is dealing with. But we try to do the marketing so that we get and penetrate into the buyer. But the program, as far as I'm concerned, they assisted us to conduct meetings, sessions, so that we can mingle with the buyers and stuff like that. So it really assisted us a lot. When I started first, my turnover was very low. And then I had less number of employees, and then they raised up to 100 number of employees, of which it was a big change, which was brought by the program. And then also I had enough time to mingle with the buyer and then try to do the proper marketing so that I sell my business to the buyer. Then I saw them giving me opportunities and giving me jobs. Like there's some few jobs that I can mention that Lucara Botswana gave us. We have got the dumping site for the Tlakani, which we did 2020. Then we had some fire breaks that we did for the mine. Then there's the plant maintenance of maintaining heavy equipment for Sdp, which was running the plant, which was subcontracted by Lucara. We did all the services for the buses, for the cruisers, for the machines, and a lot of mechanical jobs that we got under Sdp, which was subcontracted by Lucara Botswana. And then we saw our cash flow coming in and our profits coming up nicely, and of which it was a good chance.
Prime time life. Prime time life.
Offering services such as mining solutions and equipment hire, mechanical fabrications and installations, electrical installations and maintenance, amongst a wide variety of others, Polycat's Investments is the epitome of versatility. So that begs the question, with all that in the bag, what does the Undp Sdp have to offer? Well, let's find out.
Polycats was formed in 2010, October 2010. The idea was to have a department of mechanical, department of civil works, department of electrical and maintenance. Undp Sdp, they have actually renewed our energy. We are somehow filled with a new energy. We are somehow filled with new hope. We are able to say there is someone who is recognizing us. They may be not having a muscle to finance our ideas, but they have given us a support in terms of saying we are with you. Your ideas, we can take them somewhere. Maybe we can have these guys looking at you or looking at your ideas. Some of the ideas which we have as Polycats, we managed to speak to our consultants, and they encouraged us to put them down to make business proposals, which we have done, and we hope for the best in the future. Our consultant, who happens to be Mr. Pesilokoba from Undp Sdp, pushed us not to give up in many things. For an example, we were on the verge of giving up before they came into the picture. We were at a point where we were almost putting our things or selling them and start something new. But when they came in, they started showing us where we are getting things wrong, where we need to improve. Like we have improved a lot in terms of labor management. We have improved a lot in terms of keeping records. We were not that good in keeping records, but currently we are very careful of the things that we do, where we are going. We are actually seeing the light at the end of the tunnel because of Undp Sdp.
The key issues are the entrepreneurial traits, the do's and don'ts of running a business, the commitment to run a business. Those are key factors. And in a relationship, in a value chain like what we had, where you have a high value buyer who's got commitments, huge commitments, you need suppliers who can supply quality services and on time, because time is of the essence. And then the quality of those services is key. There is a system, an ecosystem that binds the buyers and the suppliers. So the buyers would have, for example, their policy environment in terms of what they buy, how they buy it, the processes that they have, and the quality that they require. So those will normally be specified, and each and every supplier should be able to meet certain standards that, in order to qualify as a supplier. So if not, then they have to build it up. So our role as consultants is to ensure that these SMEs are up to it. They're up to the required standards. They build up the quality, and they meet the requirements of the buyer. So that's what our role is, to build them up in terms of how to run a business in a very professional manner. And that requires commitment from the entrepreneurs.
If you look at what we have done with our suppliers like Polycat, we've taken him through the methodology. Now he knows the steps. He knows that in diagnosis what is being looked for, it's ABC. And then he knows that at the interaction meeting, it empowers him to meet the buyer at the table, to discuss the problems that they have, and also to work on the solutions jointly with the buyer. So you are able to talk about your problems in the presence of the buyer, unlike where you are operating on instructions. And then, having participated in this methodology, even when it comes to preparing tenders and all that, you know very well that some projects you may let them go because you see that it's not going to be profitable for you, because you've been taught how you can be able to work on projects to gain profit out of that, or where you are going to be able to market your services. So you know very well that under these services, what is required is quality. So have I performed well in the quality? The grading that you got from the buyer is the one that is going to speak for you, because you've been assessed during the SDP. So first you will have where you started, and at the end where you finished, will know that he's improved in quality, maybe from this quality standard to that quality standard. Or before he was not pricing well, but in terms of pricing now he is competitive. So he's able to price this project, and he's able to finish it. The project of this value he can perform and give us good results. So you are graded all the time using the ASSC, the Assessment System for Supplier Certification. So whatever you do in there, the improvement plans, the quality of the improvement plans and probably the impact of those improvement plans if they are able to improve you. So the buyer is prepared to work with you. Even where you say, no, I want to do this project, but the problem is my finances. He knows that he can give you maybe time to mobilize because you are able to source some finances from the institutions that are linked to the SDP. And then you can start on the project. So rather than having delayed projects, you are able to negotiate the start and the finishing because you will have the program where you will be monitored.
Prime time life. Prime time life.
It's once again a gracious day as we continue to explore further into the UNDP Supplier Development Programme. At this precise moment, we're being joined by the CEO of the Botswana Chamber of Mines, that is Mr. Charles Siwawa. Sir, hello and welcome to the show.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to be part of your esteemed program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is a pleasure. Now, I think as we normally start with these things, we'd like to introduce the organizations that we're speaking to. So kindly let us into who the Botswana Chamber of Mines is.
Botswana Chamber of Mines is a privately set organization that was established in the early 80s by the mining companies in Botswana with the aim of providing advocacy services for the mining companies and mineral exploration companies. And this advocacy service is primarily, within Botswana, but also external to Botswana. And the fact of the matter is to provide, the advocacy services for the mining industry to be able to operate the industry in Botswana in a smooth manner and in accordance with the law. When we embarked on this project, this was an internal process. We noticed the inefficiencies that are presented to us by the suppliers. And remember, we've been in this industry for a long time and we know what the suppliers can do and what they can't do. But we were looking for a program or a project that can help us to rectify that anomaly. We looked around and it so happened that we involved and were engaged with UNDP at one point or the other, and we suggested this issue to UNDP. They came up to us to say they were involved in a similar project outside of Africa, and we were able to assimilate that particular project into Botswana to be able to roll it out to all the mining companies. And I can tell you, at the beginning, it was the traction was very low. We talked to the mining companies, but then when they realized the value that this project added, we were now getting more and more requests to put more of their suppliers into this particular program. And the results that we are seeing is that because we are seeing qualitative delivery of service. You're seeing some of these suppliers moving tenfold in their contracts. In other words, somebody would have a contract of 50,000 and in a short space of time, they are looking at a contract of 500,000 for whatever period. So, we are seeing real traction from this particular program because the mines are comfortable and happy with what they are receiving from the development of the supplier in terms of delivering the goods that they want. We have a very cordial relationship between ourselves and UNDP. We do hold regular meetings because it's a program. It's got various diversions within there, various characteristics because we are dealing with different mines. They have their own policies, their own procedures. We are dealing with different minerals. So you need to be able to standardize and see how you can make sure that your suppliers, bear in mind your suppliers as well, they can work across all these different mines and all these different minerals. So what you need to do is to ensure that everybody understands what the program is all about, and then you can move forward. We do have regular meetings, and we try to plug the gaps where we believe there are gaps in execution of the program, and where we believe that we can do better, we strive to do it such that we can get this thing to be as effective as possible.
One of the key things we actually noticed was that some suppliers, because they're on the program, they believe that it's a testament, like they have to get work from the buyers. And we tell them, you need to prove your worth. We've opened the door to ensure that, because remember the methodology has stage 3 is the interaction stage. This is where the SDP consultant brings the buyer and the supplier together to say, hey, buyer, these are your issues. Hey, supplier, these are your issues. Can we bring them together and devise a proper improvement plan that encompasses both of you? So at that stage, so a lot of suppliers then tend to relax. So it doesn't stop them from continuing to sell their businesses, to say this is who we are. It also doesn't, we've also tended to also notice that suppliers tend to be, you see, the Botswana economy, as much as people will say focus, on one thing, it doesn't allow that. With COVID, it showed us that you need to diversify your products range. You need to diversify your market. You need to venture into new markets, not just this particular buyer. So fortunately for the suppliers, as part of the sustainability plan that we have for the program, after they've been on the program for 10 months, they stay on for another 12 months, so that we ensure that whatever that was not resolved, say in the 10 months, they can still, but without obviously the assistance of a consultant. But mainly we want them to access those preferential lending rates. We want them to access the workshops that we have, and to also, we share their profiles with the other buyers who are on the program. We rotate the buyers. We do not want a buyer to be on the program forever. So after year 2 of the program, when the buyer is ready, they can exit and replicate the supply development methodology to ensure that they can roll it out within the rest of their suppliers. So you can imagine that, so we give them an SDP toolkit, a briefcase to say, hey, these are the tools that you use. So it's able to reach out more suppliers in the economy. So we're excited that this year we'll be having some buyers exiting, and so that we also bring on more. We had 7 buyers in year 1. We're now adding at least 3 more buyers in those sectors that I mentioned, because we are in COVID. A lot of Botswana are now manufacturing sanitizers. Some are manufacturing protective clothing. We want those who supply the hospitals to ensure that they do it in the most effective manner. So we're also going to have, we've doubled the numbers of suppliers. We'll have at least 97 suppliers. We have added also a bit more focus on the agribusiness, because COVID has also made us aware that the import substitution is really important. We need to be self-sufficient as a program. But what is also exciting, this year we're launching the Sdp Youth Connect. This is a youth-focused program that started in Rwanda. Rwanda has done it very well. So with this one, it has 3 aspects. The entrepreneurship aspect, which has the SDP. We want to train YDF beneficiaries who are deserving, and BIH beneficiaries who are deserving, to ensure that they are robust entrepreneurs. And we've partnered with the Ministry of Youth and BIH on that aspect. Then the second outcome of the aspect is to ensure to build business leaders who have integrity, who are conscious of the communities that they live in, and that's the second outcome of the so we're going to run youth hangouts, CSR. We're going to have what we call community building champions, months, and that we've partnered with the Ministry of Youth on. Then lastly, part of the outcome of the Youth Connect is we're also going to have one youth who run businesses digitally, course spacing. We're going to have hackathons. So that's also the exciting part.
Prime Time Live.
Well, that's all we had for you in today's episode. So until we see you again next time, it's good night and God bless. This program was brought to you in partnership with UNDP in Botswana.